What you are listening to is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in the squared circle. Both parties have agreed to dismiss their cases and have their disputes settled here in our forum, the Turnbuckle Debate.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Turnbuckle Debate. My name is Sneed.
I'm Chad.
I'm Tom, the OG Fit Kid, the staple of the Turnbuckle Debate.
And our guest, friend of the show, returning for this multiple time visit.
Fourth time, I think.
Yeah, fourth
right,
time.
yeah.
Yep. Indie wrestling referee extraordinaire. Mark Knitter.
I don't know about extraordinaire, but what's going on?
Extraordinaire. You're a friend of the show, man. It's extraordinaire.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much for having me, guys. You guys asked me to be back. I could not wait to get back onto this thing. This is one of the only shows where I feel okay grabbing a microphone, sitting down with you three guys, and yelling for about an hour just about random wrestling stuff. It's fantastic. Yeah, thanks
That's
for
the
having me.
environment we want to create, man.
We
There
love
we
it.
we love having you on, man. What's been going on in your neck of the woods? What do you had going on?
It's been busy, man. My wife has been in and out of the house just constantly with her DDPY stuff. She just climbed a mountain last week in Colorado. But my goal for the past week is just keeping my son alive and fed. She came home yesterday, mission accomplished. We're done there. And then, I mean, quote unquote, professionally, I've been on the road with Impact Wrestling, helping out with their ring crew. You can spot me if you're watching Impact every Thursday night on whatever channel Impact airs. If you look towards the where would you call it, like the desk that the bell sits on, I sit right in front of that, and I handle all the gear. I take care of like the ring aprons when they get messed up, just all the little stuff that you never really think about and that you never see on television. That's the stuff that I'm taking care of with Impact Wrestling. And it's a blast. It's traveling to every show and just getting around there. And then I've got my own little career as a referee on the independent scene. Those shows are few and far between. I maybe do one every month or two, but it's a blast. It's wrestling is a bigger part of my life now than it ever has been. And I mean, I've been doing this for 20 years and I'm 41 years old. Like I thought I'd be done and wrapped up by now, but it's going strong and more of a part of my life now than it ever has been.
That's awesome. That's exciting, man.
Thanks, man.
It's exciting. Sounds like a lot of fun too, man.
Yeah, that's travel.
Oh, and you can catch me this. When does this come out? Sunday. You can catch me tonight if you're watching on Sunday, the day this premieres. Otherwise, try to catch the replay of WWE Hidden Treasures on A&E. My episode airs May 14th. So whenever you're watching this, either go back and watch it or catch it live. It's the evening of May 14th. The WWE crew and the A&E crew came into my house and filmed a little segment for their show, and it's definitely worth checking out.
That's awesome, man. Give us a little teaser. What were they checking out? What hidden treasure? Give us a tease.
I don't have I have a smaller model of what it is. If you're a fan of Macho Man Randy Savage, thinking back on his career, you go back to, I think it was Halloween Havoc 96, where it was him. You guys might have to help me. Or is it him versus Hogan?
I believe so. I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. The beginning of that match, he comes out, and over his right shoulder, you can see in the background, they had his giant monster truck parked right there behind him in the entryway. That was 1996. Cut to like 2019, I come across that, not the monster truck, but the giant yellow, 8 foot by 8 foot hat, yellow cowboy hat that's sitting atop it. I come across that, and it comes into my possession. And then cut to a few years later, I get in contact with WWE. They tell me that they're interested in it, and it just happens to co-align with when they're filming this new series, this Hidden Treasure show, and it all worked out. It's now I can say this now. The thing is not in my possession anymore. WWE has purchased it, and it took them a long time after the purchase was made to come pick it up, but eventually a truck showed up at my house, and they hauled it away. And you can see the whole story. Yeah, you can see the whole story as far as how I think you can see the whole story. I don't know what they've cut out and what they didn't cut out. We at least filmed me telling the whole story and a whole bunch of reactions and everything. Again, you'll be able to see the whole story pan out this Sunday.
It's very cool.
I love that. I love that we get to hear the story of it and see them take possession of it, because I've known that you've had the hat for a while.
Yeah.
But
that's a really cool piece of memorabilia
Yeah.
too. The hat from the monster truck. I vividly
cool and unique, right? Yeah. But it is. I mean, like I said, it's 8 foot by 8 foot by 8 foot. It takes up one stall of my garage. I will say WWE definitely took care of us as far as the financial side of things. Initially, when I got the hat, the person who was most upset about it was my wife. Because again, it was taking up one stall of the garage. But as soon as we sold it, and she found out the amount of money that we made from it, and getting it to WWE, her first question was when can we get another one? When are we find another monster truck? Get this thing in here. She just wanted a steady stream of income from various WCW pay-per-views.
Well, if they cut up your story, we'll have you back here for a dark side of the tavern. And
I appreciate that.
That's a dark side of the tavern. That could get some people in trouble.
Well, awesome, man. That's good to hear. We're glad to have you back. We have 3 new topics to debate. If you guys are ready to get into some new topics, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
All right. First topic of the evening. Should refs be faceless officials, or is it okay to be a character within the show? I'm excited for this question, especially having Mark on.
Sure.
All right, Mark, we're going to let you start.
You want me to start then? Okay. I do have a lot of opinions on this. I think there's a fine line to being faceless versus being a character. The people that you put on screen, if you're not watching the YouTube video, we've got Jimmy Corderas, we've got I don't know the WWE girls ref. What's her name? Bottom right.
She's
a new ref, right? I apologize. I don't know her name. We've got the AEW refs on the left-hand side. These guys, I wouldn't characterize anyone on the screen as a character, would you? Oh, Charles Robinson is dead center. I just saw Charles Robinson.
Charles Robinson definitely had some angles. Yeah. Earl Hebner definitely had some angles, but I wouldn't call him a character on the show.
I wouldn't. Yes, they got involved. Like guys like Nick Patrick, right? Got involved. They had their own storylines after a while. I mean, not even after a while, after years of being just a quote unquote just a referee. Not Nick Patrick. Who was not Mickey J? Tim White. He had a lot of WWE storylines that were, very controversial. We can't go back and revisit them today. But again, he was also teetering on that character line, right? He walked that line. In general, I do think referees need to be faceless as much as possible. That said, I think that like Aubrey is for the most part faceless, but given how much of a spotlight she's going to have, how much she's going to stand out, right? She's going to be a female referee in a male-dominated, I don't want to say career or area, right? But because she's female, she sticks out, and people, especially wrestling fans, they like to take the girls under their wing and kind of like call them their own. Aubrey, when she comes to the ring, I don't think she has an entrance theme. I haven't been to a live AEW show since Tommy.
No, she doesn't have an entrance theme.
But she still gets a reaction when she comes out, right?
Yeah,
that doesn't mean she's a character. That just means she gets a reaction. I think all 6 people that are on the screen, I think they've done a fantastic job of remaining faceless when they need to, but also getting the fans to care about them enough that when there is that ref bump or when they do have some sort of spot in the match or whatever the story is, that people do care enough. They're going, oh, that is Aubrey, or oh, that Earl did get involved there. They at least know them enough by name, and it's not to the point where they're not caring at all about the referees. I've got more thoughts on. I would love to get your thoughts on this, but I do have, especially indie referees. I've got a ton of thoughts on indie referees and having gimmicks. But let me hear your thoughts on this stuff.
All right, I'm going to jump in with Aubrey because my wife loves Aubrey. She loves to watch her. She loves to watch her reactions, but she does have overly expressive reactions when she's reffing a match. My wife loves it. I know so many people who love it. I can't stand her. I think she needs to be less noticeable, and she's just irritating because she puts the hands on the head when things are going on. She's making faces. it irritates me, and I know I'm in the minority, but she just irritates me. Now, I've met her, and she's the sweetest person, but the way she refs, I think she does need to take a step back. But as far as referee storylines, like Danny Davis, love that story. I thought that was fun.
That's another good one, yeah.
I don't have problems with referees getting involved in stories. Nick Patrick with the NWO, I thought that was fine. If it makes
so, Tom, you just don't like referees having a personality in the ring.
No, really, I guess not. Unless it's leading to something. Like, I thought they had great stories with Aubrey that they could have done with a lot of the stuff going on with Danhausen tweeting her, and they just left it blank when he showed up there, like with the things she does, and it just never happened. Yeah, but no, I don't want much of a personality.
I kind of agree with that. I do think Aubrey's a special case, right? With Aubrey specifically, I'm okay with her reaction. I mean, her story is kind of that she's a newer referee. Like, she was a fan not too long. Like, there's that famous clip of Aubrey crying in the stands of the WWE show.
Daniel Bryan's.
Yeah, that's what it is, right? Yeah. So she hasn't been around forever. I do know what you're talking about. She is, I don't want to say over the top, but she shows more emotion than a lot of referees do. And the way I was brought up, the way that I was trained as a referee is when you're in there, before I go into this, I'm not, Aubrey knows better than I do, right? Aubrey is doing it better than I do. Aubrey's doing it better than most people in the game. Look at where Aubrey is compared to anybody else. You can't argue with the results. That said, the way that I was trained is that you're a referee, you need to react to almost everything. And I put almost in quotes, but 96% of everything that you see in the ring, you've seen before. Because you're an expert, that's what makes you the official. That's what makes you there and able to call it down call it down the middle. And you need to be able to take the emotion out of it, not personally, just off your face, because the fans need to see you as someone who is impartial and can view the situation at hand in the ring as an impartial party. And when you have those reactions one way or another of a big reaction to a big move, or you're scared because somebody's bleeding or whatever it is, or you're scared because of a character, right? If they have like a spooky character like Abaddon and you're fleeing from her, you need to be in there like you own the place and not like you're afraid. Now, that said, the Abaddon specifically, I know that Abaddon and Aubrey have a history. Abaddon and I think all the referees have a history of her scaring him out of the ring. That I'm not putting blame on the referees. They're just doing what they're told, right? Yeah. The littler stuff, the reaction stuff, they're not doing what they're told for the most part. I mean, they might do some stuff in the ring, get some critiques once they get to the back. But for the most part, that's the referee's call as far as how they're going to react. To me, like I said, the less reaction you have, the better.
Well, here's my point, or my question for you guys. If my wife is watching and noticing her and her reactions, that means she's taken away from the match.
Which is also why I was taught to not have reactions.
Okay, question though, Tom. You said your wife likes Aubrey, right?
Yeah.
To me, that's a good thing then. Like, if she is entertained by her, you're entertaining someone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I am definitely along the lines of what you guys are saying. Old school. I want to focus on the wrestlers. I don't want a ref taking away shine, for lack of a better word, from the two guys or girls in the ring competing. I think the whole it's even in like boxing and mixed martial arts. When you watch a fight, you almost forget the ref is there. If you're a good ref, you're never in the way, but you're never in the way, but you're always in the right spot. You know what I mean? Like, if you have to drop and give the 1, 2, 3, or if you're a ref in a mixed martial arts, you're always right there to see that submission hold. So it's kind of like a tightrope walk of being out of the way, but being in the right spot in a way.
And that's where it's tough, right? Because ideally we referees should be boxing referees. We should be MMA referees. We should be that. That's what we're trying to portray, that we are the experts. We're there for safety. We're there to make sure that the rules are being followed. And in MMA and in boxing, the referees do that, right? They put themselves in the right position to be where they need to be, whether they're in the way of the camera or not. Now, for the most part, they're pretty good about not getting in the way. But pro wrestling is totally different. Pro wrestling, the referee, in most cases, if you have the ring, right? Where's my camera? You have the ring. The referee, if the camera is here at the bottom and pointing up, So like this is the front side of the ring when you're watching TV. The referee should just stay in a U here, right? And really it's a lowercase U. It should just be the back half. Sometimes they can come down to the sides here and on this side, but they will never come here. With boxing and MMA, as far as I know, that rule of not coming here is not, it doesn't exist because safety comes first.
And it's up to the cameraman to work around the ref, like not for the ref to work around the cameraman in boxing and MMA.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Versus pro wrestling, it's all about the show comes first, right? I mean, safety is first, but there isn't a whole lot of safety that we're in there protected. There's a little bit, but not nearly as much as boxing and MMA. So it's not apples to apples, is what I'm saying. It's a good comparison. It's a good starting point. If you're training to be a referee, it's definitely good to get your start looking at look at all sorts of referees, right? Boxing, MMA, pro wrestling, obviously, even tennis. You know, any sort of referee, an umpire at a baseball game. No umpire after like a giant curveball or somebody hits a grand slam. The umpire isn't invested in putting his hands on his head. You know what I mean? In theory, he doesn't have a stake in any one of the teams. And same with wrestling, right? It should be that way. He shouldn't care about safety, but he shouldn't care about. My opinion is he shouldn't sell it until he's checked on the guy. Right. Yeah. Take a big move, check on him, and then go, holy F, right? This guy's in trouble. But doing it beforehand.
It's funny though, because I know they're completely different. You're learning, it's coming from a entertainment versus straight sport. But even in boxing, if you guys remember in the 90s, Mills Lane.
That's the one guy. That's the Earl Hebner.
But there's the one guy. Exactly. But that guy became a little bit of a guy, a little bit of a star.
I'd say more than a little. I mean, Celebrity Deathmatch was revolving.
Yeah, Mills Lane. Absolutely. So I'm with you guys. I want them to be as faceless as possible, but I definitely have no problem with them getting into storylines. I think Charles Robinson's little run with Ric Flair in WCW was hysterical. Sure. Nick Patrick is NWO's evil referee. The Hebner twins back in the day. I mean, there's been so many fun storylines with refs. I have way less of a problem with that than I would the Aubrey stuff. But even Aubrey, I try not to dig my heels in the sand too much and be such a staunch traditionalist because I do tend to lean towards that. And I don't want to be one of those old dinosaurs who say, you can't change with the time. They can't do this. That's not how it's done. It's because I do enjoy Aubrey. I love Aubrey's relationship with Jericho in the ring. When they go back and forth with each other, that's become a thing that I think fans enjoy watching them, because she refs all of Jericho's matches. So it's kind of became that we expect them to get into it. So that's fun for me. But there is some moments where it almost becomes, and she is a former dancer. She's a ballerina. And you can see her ballet in some of her movements when she's reacting over the top to this move and kind of bouncing around the ring. But it doesn't ruin it for me, but it's definitely, I would rather have Mike Chioda. I would rather have Brian Hebner. A guy like that is more my liking, but I also enjoy Aubrey. So it's a hard call for me.
I think that a lot of the stuff we're talking about are reactions. Like how does Aubrey react in the ring? How does any referee react in the ring? I don't necessarily think that your reactions are going to make you a character. Right. The stuff that really gets on my nerves. Well, first, whenever I go to Impact, right, my goal, I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. My goal is to become a referee for Impact. Right. I like the ringside stuff, but my goal, I don't want to do that for life. My goal is to become an in-ring referee for Impact. Sadly, I'm 6'1", white and male, so I'm at the end of the line. But that said, every time I go to Impact, the day before, the number one thing I have to do is shave my face. Normally, I have this little bit of stubble on my face that I have here, and it is noticeable in the ring. I just think in my personal life, I think I look better with it. But there is a rule within Impact, within WWE, and I believe within AEW that you cannot have referees cannot have any sort of facial hair, because now that, to me, I don't think it's the end of the world. I think referees are fine if they have facial hair. I don't think it characterizes you as a character. I just think it's part of your look. But I also understand they don't want crazy facial hair and they're taking away focus from the match. The there are other things that that referees do on the independents that I would put a more borderline. They're trying to create a character. Guys who wear, like, if you're refereeing wearing wrist tape, that serves no purpose for you. If you're wearing stuff that serves no purpose for you physically, get it off your body. You're just taking focus away from other stuff. I've seen guys that wear headbands. I knew a guy who wore a headband that was like black and white striped. So he had like the zebra stripes on his head. And I get what you're trying to do. There's only so much we can do as referees. We get to wear the black and white stripes. We get to wear black pants and black shoes. Our goal is not to stick out. Our goal is not to be a character. Our goal is not to have much personality. That said, I do like shows where I get to wear some indies will give us like the blue and the bow tie, like the old school referee look. I like those shows. I think getting pictures with that stuff, it allows me to mix up my social media a little bit more. I don't know. I just think you need some guys want to be one of the boys, right? I think that's what it is. A lot of there are referees out there that want to be one of the boys. There are referees out there that have 8x10s. They will set up a gimmick table and they will, stand right next to Colt Cabana and try to make some money at the merch table. And this is something I've been kind of on the fence with. Have you guys listened to Cardona's podcast about him making money on the indies?
I haven't.
No.
It's like a 101 how to make money on it is literally the most valuable podcast I think any independent wrestler can listen to. If you're listening to this, please seek that one out as well. It is vital information in terms of making money. And that podcast really opened up my eyes as far as like, yes, I'm a referee. I need to blend in, but at the same time, this is a business. Like I could be making money. Is my opinion of referees should never have a gimmick table and should never have a character. Is that it's obviously costing me money. So is that the right choice or not? Right. And I'm still undecided. That podcast literally came out like a week ago and I'm still digesting it, but I'm on the fence as far as getting 8x10s made up just to make my trips a little bit more worth it. If I can sell an 8x10 for $5, $3, doesn't matter. It's a little extra money in my pocket that will get me home and will get me a meal that night versus, not.
Yeah, I don't.
We haven't heard from Sneed. Sneed, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, no, I don't want the referee. I want the match to be the focal point. But I am okay with them being involved outside of the ring in storyline. I don't have a problem with that. We're talking about characters, in the ring. Like I said, keep it towards the match. But I don't mind them being characters because it's professional wrestling. And in professional wrestling, I think it's valuable to be able to throw that little wrinkle in if you can.
What do you think about Aubrey?
Aubrey doesn't bother me. Aubrey doesn't bother me at all. And to Tom's point, Chad, I agree with what you said. If Brenda likes her, she's done her job in getting somebody to watch her.
And I'm sure there's a lot of wives and girlfriends out there that watch because their husband watches. And if you can have anyone on that screen connect and I like them, I think that's good. Because at the end of the day, I'm not going to reach the levels of Omega, Jericho.
Yeah.
But if there are those, I just think it's cool when you go to an AEW event, and I've seen this happen. We've been to tons of AEW shows, and I've seen it at almost every event. The little 6, 7, 8-year-old girl wearing the zebra shirt with her hair pulled back like cool. Aubrey. That's cool, man. It's just another element to me of like, if you can make a little girl think, hey, I could be a referee. Everybody wants to be Charlotte Flair and Bianca Belair, but if there's those little girls out there that's like, I could do what Aubrey's doing, I think that's cool for wrestling.
Cool.
And I think it's really cool too that because of the status that she has, the way that she's connected with the fans, that when she does do something along the lines of tossing somebody from ringside,
it gets a pop.
It is a massive pop.
And she, like you said, she does get a reaction at the shows when she comes out, and she's super fan friendly during the commercial breaks that aren't on TV. I've seen her dancing in the ring, and that's all fun. That's getting the fans involved and making the people. But then you have a guy, I think it was about a year ago on NXT, the referee did a leapfrog over a wrestler in the middle of the match. That I think is uncalled for. Like that's just
I would need to know context of that. Yeah.
Yeah, that just saying that sounds. I'd like to know what happened.
But then the new ref, I believe he was in NXT, but now he's on AEW. Man, it was a match probably about a month or two ago. He took a bump out of the ropes. You know which one I'm talking about, Tom?
Yeah,
He took a bump that was just like hats off, dude. I mean, that guy went above and beyond.
the one who went through the ropes to the outside.
Went through the ropes to the outside. Felt
Who
like
was this, dude? Was it Posey?
let me look up his name because I feel bad not knowing because he's newer.
It was all over Instagram and everything. The bump.
I didn't see that.
Bump. Oh yeah.
His name. Let's see here. You guys, this is.
I knew a referee that wanted to wear a lucha mask that was also zebra striped
No.
on non-lucha shows.
Stefan Smith. Stefan Smith. This is it.
Yeah,
Okay, I don't know who that is.
Yeah. I'll find
I'm
a
bad with names.
clip and we'll post it up on our social media as well on Monday.
yeah,
it's
that'll be good.
really good.
Yeah. All right,
Yeah, I
guys. Anybody have any final thoughts before we wrap up and move on?
I was gonna say AEW hasn't had many ref bumps, but when they do, they're meaningful.
And I'll say, I do think a lot of this stems from their AEW is the one driving, I think, this critique of what it means to be a pro wrestling referee. Because we've heard Jimmy Corderas go on Busted Open Radio, be highly critical. I know Brian Hebner has been highly critical. And I think they're more, not so much character based, but they're talking about the mechanics of what a referee should do in the ring. And they, if anyone has the right to be a critic of how referees handle business, it's guys who've been there before and have learned the way to do it. But I think that kind of narrative out there is really what has been driving this spotlight on what it means to be a referee.
It's not easy, guys. It is not. I don't want to. Refereeing on the indies, it's pretty easy, right? Refereeing at a higher level, WWE, Impact, the AEW, the big three. I mean, and then outside the US, it is high pressure. It is you're fighting for your job. It is not like refereeing on the independents, in my opinion, at all. You have the big difference is the earpiece. You have in your ear. Now, some independents do this, right? Some independents are trying to reach out. I know MLW does this. I've done a handful of independents that do use an earpiece. It's just guys watching in the back. But Impact, WWE, AEW, that earpiece is not only you talking to the guys in the back, the producer. You have I can reference impacts as far as who exactly is on the mic. I'm not going to say exactly who's on the mic, but it's the guys who are at the top, the producers of the match. You can also hear guys in the truck. And you hear commentary. You hear all of that at the same time, and you're trying to listen to the directions. At the same time, they're giving you time cues. At the same time, you need to referee. You have to do your job and referee the match, and you have to stay out of the way. And you know what I mean? You have to do all the little things that a referee does. It is not easy doing it at a high level simply because of that earpiece. That earpiece makes it a very, very different game. And that's what I think a lot of people don't understand. This has nothing to do with this question. I'm just saying that the guys who are critiquing, the Jimmy Corderas, the Brian Hebners, anybody else who has a podcast or a book or any other sort of voice who complains, not complaints, I'll say critiques. They're doing it because they've been there. They're doing it because they know everything it takes to be a good referee at the highest level, right? And I think a lot of people don't recognize that aspect of it as far as just how difficult. I'm not saying it's not harder than being a wrestler, right? Being a wrestler is the hardest thing you can do. In terms of wrestling, but the job of the referee is definitely underappreciated, in my opinion, in terms of the casual fan.
Unsung for sure. Unsung.
I wouldn't go that far. You're leaving out a
They
word
really are though.
Applied. Yeah.
No one. It's like an offensive lineman in football. No one ever gives them credit.
Okay, that's fair. I'll use that. We're essentially props.
You have to be there though. You're so essential, and I don't feel like
you would think so. I did one indie show back in like 2007. The match started, and I was supposed to ref, and I was not in the ring, and they just started the match without me. It was I won't tell the whole story here, but I had to slide in at like the 2-minute mark, and then we rang the. It was a mess. It was a mess.
All right, guys. If you guys are ready, we'll move on to the second topic of the evening.
Yeah,
all right, second topic. Is the Britt Baker Black Eye Tee a good wrestling shirt, and what makes a great wrestling shirt? Now, Mark, this was your question. I'll defer to you to go first.
Sure. Now Tom added the Britt Baker part, which I thought was a good idea, just because it's a hot topic right now. My general question was just what makes a good wrestling T-shirt. There are thousands of wrestling tees, especially with pro wrestling tees out there. There are thousands of wrestling designs for T-shirts out there. And what makes a good one? What I feel like there's thousands of shirts out there, but there are maybe hundreds that you would actually wear. Right. So I want to know for you guys, what are the requirements to have a good wrestling T-shirt? Anything from how it fits to color to the design to anything. What gets the money out of your wallet and into a T-shirt?
For me, simplicity. A simple, clean design with not a bunch of extra shit on it. I think of the iconic shirts that I had to get as a kid. Austin 316, as basic as it comes. NWO, super basic. Hulkamania, super basic. The DX shirt, the first DX shirt, very basic. Very simple, clean, basic designs are, I think, what hits. Now, if you get I think when you get artists to come in and do designs, those are awesome. But I think something as basic and simple as it comes, that's what stands the test of time for me.
I mean, I gave this a lot of thought, and Chad, that's a great point. I didn't think of it that way because I'm also thinking the Hot Rod shirt and the Macho Man shirt fall right into what you just said. But what gets me to buy a shirt is a wrestler or a story I'm really behind. Like, I was thinking of that recently. I'm thinking like most of the shirts I buy is because I love like FTR. I bought the new FTR shirt. I love FTR. I'm like, oh, this shirt's cool looking. So I get that. So for me, like, yeah, I like a design, but like I want to support the people I'm really rooting for, the people that have captivated me, the people I tune into each week to see. Like, and it's sure I'll look for a good design and pick between them. But yeah, I'll buy a shirt of somebody I support faster than I'm not going to buy somebody I don't care for, even if it is a beautiful design.
Yeah, for me, it's something that makes me feel connected to a story with somebody that I like. And the simplicity value goes with that because what I like a good simple phrase on a shirt. I like just a few words stating just a phrase that makes me feel like I'm a part of, a part of a story, like, and something that I can get behind.
And I think the simplicity of it is kind of born out of what they had at the time back in the day when wrestlers first started doing T-shirts. Like when Terry Funk did the Dusty Sucks Egg shirt, he just went to a T-shirt shop and asked the guy, can you just put these words on this shirt?
I love that.
And I think like even the Macho Man shirt that says, who did you ever beat? Like the play off of that line he had, like, I don't know. I think simplicity breeds, like, I even think of like Andy Warhol paintings. The guy kind of brought in the mass-produced aspect of art where he would just mass produce a picture of Elvis or a picture of a Campbell's soup can. And it wasn't about the artistry involved in making that picture. It was about replicating that picture where when you saw that picture, it almost became a part of the fabric of culture just by the mass production of it. So I think when something is clean and simple, it's easier to seep into the psyche. Plus you want something that you feel like you're a part of something. Like the NWO shirt, that was almost like an attitude. That clean black design, it felt more like a rock and roll T-shirt than it did a wrestling shirt at the time. Like that clean design had something to it. That's what I look for.
It's stating an opinion too,
Yeah.
It's stating, hey, I stand with this story. Yeah.
That's a big part of it, right? Like it's got to be, I think number one, you guys are right. It's got to be there's got to be somebody that you support and that you connect with. And it's got to be somebody you're a fan of. For me, number 2 though is, would I wear this? Right?
Yeah.
Is this an appropriate shirt to wear? And I mean, we could spawn off into the Britt Baker shirt from there. But the if it's not a shirt, there are so many wrestling shirts out there that I just wouldn't, and then maybe it's personal opinion, that I just would not wear. I'll say this. I'm going to say this to 3 guys who are wearing black shirts. I will not wear a black shirt. I own 0 black shirts other than my Impact shirts that I need to wear when I'm sitting ringside. Otherwise, I am wearing. I've got a white shirt on right now, right? I like white shirts, pink shirts, yellow shirts. I like the brighter colors. I also recognize that I'm in the minority. I know wrestling fans like the black shirts. I know that most wrestling shirts are black. But for me, if it's a black shirt, I will not buy it. I don't care what the message is. I will. There was a Kenny Omega shirt on Pro Wrestling Tees. It was like a cartoon of Kenny. He had one wing, and he had the Mega Man gun for his arm, and then on the ground around him were Nintendo 64 and Super Nintendo cartridges, like just random stuff that you couldn't really tell the titles of. I loved the design, but it was on a black shirt. Okay, let me see what other options we have. I checked the other options. The only other option is bright pink. All right, I guess I'm buying a bright pink shirt. So we bought that. I loved the shirt. I wore the hell out of it. But ideally, I didn't want the pink shirt. Ideally, I wanted like a blue or a gray or something. But I will never wear a black shirt. It's just not something I will ever wear. So if something is black, that immediately puts an X next to it for me.
Yeah, our own Hawk is the same way. He won't. We have tons of T-shirts about him on our Pro Wrestling Tees page, and he will not buy anything. So we started doing variations because he would not buy a black T-shirt.
Awesome. Oh, I like that.
Style and Grace he bought.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That does kind of lead into that other discussion that Tom brought up. The Britt Baker shirt. It is a black shirt. I already would not be caught dead in it. But for people who don't care about it being black, the other thing that's on the shirt is their black eye. What are your guys' thoughts on the Britt Baker shirt?
I love it. I think one, it's playing into a storyline. I think it's a badass T-shirt. It's simple. I like the simplicity of it. I like that it's just a photograph of a selfie that Britt took of herself, and it's kind of been turned by the heels on her, and they're wearing the shirt of her. I think it's cool. I know the stigma of, would you wear this in public? You're glorifying domestic violence, which I think is ridiculous. I mean, it's as simple as, for me, I would proudly wear that shirt because I'm a huge Britt Baker fan. If I would wear that into public and get a weird eye, or someone would be like, what's that about? Oh, it's a pro wrestling shirt. And I think that's where the conversation ends. I don't think anyone, after you said it's a pro wrestling shirt,
no question.
I think they would buy into it. Who would wear that? Who would see that shirt and their first thought would go to, man, that guy's glorifying domestic violence?
That's my problem with it. I guess I'll play the devil's advocate here. Let's say it was on a yellow shirt, just so I would have an option of picking it up. I still would not buy it because I'm not going to buy it if I'm not going to wear it. And that shirt I wouldn't wear not because I'm against it, not because I think it's glorifying domestic violence or anything, but because of the crazy world that we live in. If I wear that to Target, you don't know what kind of reaction somebody's going to have. And I don't want conflict. I don't want any of that. Even if I'm the biggest Britt Baker fan, for me personally, because I know that shirt could be seen as controversial to someone out there who's not a wrestling fan and doesn't know what it is. It could trigger somebody and they could go off, and you don't know what their reaction is going to be. You're
a nice guy, Mark. I'm not tiptoeing around.
I'm not doing it to protect them. I don't care about that. Get triggered all you want. I just don't want you to take your trigger out on me. I don't want to be affected by it.
Yeah, I get that. I'm a shit disturber though. I'm wearing that shirt wanting someone to say, "Hey, what's that shirt?" It's wrestling. Relax. But yeah, I get it.
Listen, I'm a big fan too. I get it. Listen, she got a black eye in a story for something that we love. So if I could buy that shirt to support her and something that happened to her during that story, hell yeah. Why wouldn't I buy it? Why wouldn't I wear it? And if somebody has a problem with it, I'm sorry. I don't think I'm going to get attacked if I go to a store wearing it, but I would have no issues wearing it out.
I think I get I get the kind of 30,000 foot view of it from someone who is totally outside of not only pro wrestling, but just combat sports in general. I totally get it. I'm someone, my grandfather watched boxing when I was a little boy. I remember watching Christy Martin, the coal miner's daughter, in boxing matches, being a tough lady. And then, transitioning into Ronda Rousey when she was in the UFC, and some of the girls, Misha Tate and all of those girls, seeing them just busted open and laying their heart on the line in these matches where for so long men tried to be like, no, this is too tough for women. We don't want them in this sport. We don't want to watch women do this. But to me, it's empowering, it's an empowering thing for me to see stuff like that. Maybe that's a kind of a masochistic take on it, but that's kind of how I view it.
It empowers you, or it empowers Britt? How is it empowering?
I think it's tough. It makes her like she can take it. We're not talking about a housewife. You know what I mean?
With context, it's a badass shirt.
Yeah, they're not these delicate little beings that can't take care of. I feel like men have this thing they want to protect, and I get it. I have a little girl, you want to protect them. They're delicate little creatures, but there's something about, like Britt even said it in her tweet, like people need to stop acting like they need to take care of us. We can take care of ourselves. We're tough. We're badasses too. Stop trying to handle us with kids' gloves. And I love that. I love that they're owning it. You know what I mean? To me, that's Britt putting that picture out there and deciding, because she okayed the picture. It's not like Tony Khan put that out there without Britt okaying it. She wasn't held at gunpoint. For her to be like, that'd make a cool shirt. I feel like that's owning your shit. You know what I mean? That's owning your shit instead of, I don't know. I don't know how people would think, I don't know. I like it. It's empowering.
I do agree. Maybe I see your point. I do see that it's empowering. I do see the message that it's sending by wearing that to a wrestling show, an AEW show, even a WWE show, whatever you're doing, wearing it to a place that it has context. My concern is wearing it somewhere where there's no context.
I'm wearing it to Sunday school. I'm going to church in that shirt.
To me, it's just not worth it. I don't want to walk around on eggshells. Who do I have to explain this to? Who's looking at me weird? Who do I need to keep an eye on because I'm wearing this shirt? I've got better things to worry about.
Well, I have a question for you, Martin. I have the CM Punk shirt from the dog collar match, and he's all bloody holding the dog collar, and I proudly wore that out.
Sure.
If I say I don't want to wear the Brit because it's a woman with a black eye, that makes me a hypocrite.
No, I don't think that's true.
I'm not cheating.
I think it's totally different because of the way that it's portrayed, how those two images are taken in by the general public. I don't think that says anything about you.
It's the societal implications.
Absolutely. It has nothing to do with it. In my opinion, it doesn't mean it doesn't make you a hypocrite. That's just you playing it safe.
Well, I think there's a little bit of like me and Sneed used to go to heavy metal shows when we were teenagers, and we would walk around and there would be guys wearing shirts that said "I fuck nuns" on it. So I'm like so desensitized to like super vulgar out there shirts that I see a shirt like that. I'm like, yes, do it. I don't know. I'm a meathead.
It's also crazy to look at. We talk about the NWO shirt and all the other classic shirts. Those were in days where we didn't have as many choices as we have today. Everything you order now is printed demand. It's crazy how the whole T-shirt business has changed. And it's, we might never really get an iconic shirt again like we've had in the past, those number one sellers, because that purple Macho Man, the Hot Rod shirt, they were around for so many years.
What was the last mainstream, big time shirt?
It's a great
man.
Wow.
Because I can't think of any in the last 10 to 15 years that would.
I mean,
Brian's shirt?
Bullet Club, maybe?
Oh, Bullet Club's a good
Bullet
call.
Club.
Yeah.
Bullet Club.
That's the answer. There you go. Nice.
Yeah, the only other shirt I've seen a lot of, just going to like WWE shows and AEW shows, is the basic clean AEW shirt. The logo on the shirt. When that company first popped, I feel like you saw that shirt everywhere because you were a part of a movement. You saw that everywhere,
and you got a lot of scissor me daddy ass shirts out there now too.
That's true.
Yeah.
But there's so many different ones. There's not one that stands out and like that's the one.
That's probably a lot of the
It's
answer.
true.
There's
That's
so many options now that they can't focus in on what the actual like logo of the generation is, right?
And I think there's a little bit of back in the day you saw less of it because I think it was more of a production to put a shirt into production. You know what I mean? Like now they've got one AEW. If someone says something on Dynamite tonight, they're going to flip around and have that shirt ready by tomorrow. It's like they're turning everything into shirts now where they were a bit more choosy on what became a t-shirt back in the day.
Did Britt Baker have a t-shirt after the lights out match of her bloody face? Was that on a t-shirt?
Yeah, it was done in the KISS logo. I have that shirt.
It's on the Blood and Guts figure as well. It came with the little shirt with that.
Awesome shirt.
Do you guys have a problem with that shirt?
No.
Is there?
No.
I don't have a problem with any of these shirts. Put whatever you want on a shirt.
Right,
I have no problem with it. It's what the society views me wearing the shirt as somebody who has no context. I personally have no problem with the Britt Baker shirt. I think it's great. Like you said, it empowers her.
What do you think, Sneed?
Oh, I love the shirt. I think it's great. I love that. I think my favorite thing about it is that she got a black eye the hard way and they leaned in on it and they doubled down on it and they made a t-shirt out of it. And they've really focused on this. I think for me, that's the main thing. I love that they've taken something that happened that was real and they've just ran with it.
I like
get the black eye?
It was during the
beatdown
when she got jumped and they handcuffed Adam Cole to the rope.
Okay, but it was a female that hit her. A female gave her the black eye.
Saraya and Tony Storm.
I was thinking maybe that would change my opinion. I don't even think it would, but I was just thinking because this is a black eye that was from Tony Storm. What if it was a black eye accidentally from a male talent? Would that change everybody's opinion of the shirt?
I think it empowers her even more if it's from a man.
I think it doesn't matter.
Got in the way of a punch.
In the argument that we're having about going out into public with it, I don't think it matters.
I don't think it matters. I agree. Yeah.
Because a black eye is a black eye. It's you sitting down. Like you're not going to sit every person down that gives you a weird look over the shirt and explain to them the origin of the black eye. You know what I mean? Like I think the little tiny AEW logo in the corner of the picture should be enough to point at and be like, it's a pro wrestling shirt. Most people would be like, oh, okay. You know, like, and if they give you shit, like, I don't know, just relax.
I don't know,
dude.
man. I've been given shit in public. There was a political shirt that I had at one point that I wore in public. And,
I remember that
it
shirt.
Really caused, I wore it to support a friend who it was his artwork. And it really caused a lot of backlash. And there were a lot of people that got a little hot about it. But, it never bothered me to wear it. I was supporting a friend. And with this,
I think political shirts are like the extreme, right? If someone is going to comment on your shirt, it's going to be a political shirt, the most likely. So if you're fine with that, then yeah, wear whatever you want.
Yeah, it didn't bother me. I think it was for me, it was more supporting a friend in that aspect. With this, it would be just supporting Britt Baker.
Yeah.
Steve, before you wrap it up, I have a really good idea. The next time you see Hawk, give him a shiner, take a picture, and we have a new Tavern T-shirt.
That would be a great shirt. No,
I would hit. I mean,
I'll have the camera ready.
If that son of a bitch doesn't start being nice to me, we will have some problems. All right.
I knew you would like my idea.
Oh, if I can, I'll hit Hawk. All right. Anybody have any final thoughts before we move on? We're ready.
Jump the gun.
Chad's ready.
Go.
All right.
I'll run it.
Let's do it. All right. Final topic of the evening. Now, this is a multiple choice question. We've never had one. Here we go.
Ever?
I don't think we've had a multiple choice.
What episode is this? Like
131.
31.
Okay. All right.
So,
here we go.
What defines Hulk Hogan's career? A, Hulkamania. B, NWO Heel Turn. C, it's not going to work for me, brother. D, racism.
Oh, no.
We ran the whole gamut here with Hogan's
Hulkster's career, right?
it's to me, he's overcome the whole racism thing. You had too many people come up and stand up for him. Growing up watching Hulkamania, it's hard to like pick just one of those because Hulkamania turning into the NWO is just such a major thing. Like, how do you not combine them? That is both of them. Like, the NWO turn doesn't happen if you don't have all that Hulkamania. So to me, I have to combine those two and pick both.
Well, Tom, here's the thing: we're not. This is multiple choice, and we're not combining
one or the other.
So guess what, pal? Pick one.
All right, I'm going Hulkamania. I was 9 years old when he beat the Iron Sheik for the title. Man, I can't go against that. I was there for the birth of Hulkamania. Yeah. I can't beat that.
I think, Mark brought up the last time he was on, we had a Hogan question. I believe it was something about who had the bigger impact, Hulkamania or the NWO Heel Turn.
Yeah.
For that question, I went NWO Heel Turn because I think it put a lot of things in motion. For this, Hulkamania, NWO Heel Turn, that's not going to work for me, brother, or racism. I'm going to say Hulkamania too, man, and here's why I say that. If you go to any Joe on the street who's not a hardcore wrestling fan, who doesn't follow this beautiful sport we love,
I think you could even ask, if you're asking the question that I think you're going to ask, I think you could even ask wrestling fans.
Yeah, you just say, who is Hulk Hogan? What is Hulk Hogan? What
colors does Hulk Hogan wear?
Exactly. Red and yellow. Hulk
Everyone's going to say red and yellow. No one is going to say black and white.
And there's hardcore wrestling fans, and rightfully so, that, the moment that tape slipped out of him saying that bullshit and the racism stuff came out, they're never going to let that go. And I totally get that. And at the same time, it's like, does that wash away all of the stuff I was watching when I was 5-6 years old and it was blowing my mind? Like, Hulk Hogan for me was a huge deal, and I'll always think of Hulkamania.
Him and Ultimate Warrior are two of the best merchandise movers that WWE has, right? People care about and Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior subjectively have some of the worst opinions of things on the planet. Right? So those two things don't combine. The wrestling fans specifically, they just don't seem to care about things that happen outside the ring. They've latched on to these characters from their childhood, which is fine. And this is why I fall in the same boat. I agree. I also think that Hogan's career is defined by red and yellow because that's what I grew up on. That's what I still see it as. The 1986 Hulk Hogan, the Mr. Nanny Hulk Hogan, the smiling babyface Hulk Hogan. That's my Hulk Hogan. And I don't think that whatever words that Hogan or Warrior or whoever else has said terrible things has said are going to affect people's opinions of the nostalgia part of that character.
And case in point to what you're saying, Mark, you said that people don't care about the stuff outside the ring. Look at how everyone's handling all the Vince McMahon shit. He wasn't even a big larger than life, like in the ring. I mean, he was Mr. McMahon, larger than life. But I'm talking, he wasn't Hogan. He wasn't Macho Man. He wasn't Ultimate Warrior. And people still, all of the rape allegations and all of these things that have came out, people are so quick to be like, yeah, but Vince did a lot. Man, if wrestling wouldn't be here without Vince, they'll give you these caveats. Wrestling fans are quick to push that stuff aside because
absolutely. If Vince came out on Raw on Monday, I almost guarantee there would be a thank you, Vince. Yeah, there'd be a ton of just pro Vince. I don't think he'd get booed. I don't think know what I mean. It's not, which is crazy. It is
crazy.
It is crazy, but that's the way the wrestling world works.
Yeah.
Flair did the same thing. Rick, like for some reason, wrestling has figured out better than anybody else, any celebrity in the world, how to move on after a situation.
That's true. Yeah.
I think nostalgia in general with music, movies, everything is a powerful drug. But something about nostalgia with pro wrestling fans transcends even other. I feel like wrestling fans are so quick to look the other way because they're like, no, that was my guy. Hogan's my guy,
Yep.
So interesting. Like maybe it's just because of their and I know that we're focusing more on the racism part, the option D for this than the other three, but I think it's interesting. Somebody gets canceled on Twitter every day, right?
Yep.
A new celebrity is canceled all the time. Theoretically, Hogan should have been canceled. Warrior should have been canceled. Vince should have been canceled. But because they have these works that are timeless from the 80s and Vince in the 90s and all this stuff, people just put those works above anything, especially because they're not working today, right? Like a guy who is working, who's currently in movies and currently on a TV show and then gets canceled. It is near impossible to get his career going again.
Yeah.
Versus someone like Hogan or Warrior would actually apply, or Vince, someone who's not really trying to keep their career going. There's nothing to cancel them from. So people just keep loving them.
But even like Bully Ray, go back and listen to Bully Ray's ECW promos. He's dropping the big F bombs, and I'm not talking about FUCK. Sure. You know, like he's dropping hardcore promos in ECW, and he's still working for Impact, still working for NWA, and wrestling fans can detach way easier. Like you said, Mark, you go on Twitter, there's a new celebrity, it seems like every day, where some old tweet from a decade ago gets pulled up and their career is essentially finished. But with a wrestler, when that plane ride from hell, Dark Side of the Ring episode came out on Flair, there was all this hubbub when it first happened. Everyone, Flair's done. Flash forward.
Flair on Raw, and what's going to happen? He comes out on Raw. Yeah,
exactly. Dude's got a weed line with Mike Tyson. He just did the Joe Rogan experience. No one cares.
Right.
Yeah, dude. Wrestling fans are the absolute kings and queens of but
yeah, for real.
If you can get a good but and have a rebuttal from a wrestling fan. I'm also going Hulkamania, hands down, not a question. And for all the reasons that you guys said, I mean, this guy revolutionized what it was to be a gimmick. He was, the merchandise king, the red and yellow, the Hulkamania T-shirts, the prayer, the movies, all of this. But the one thing that makes me say Hulkamania also is when WWE still trots him out, what do they play? Real American.
Yeah.
And what does he come out in? Red and yellow.
Yeah. To this day.
That's what he is known for, man.
He does get a smattering of boos now when he comes out. You do hear a smattering of those boos, but mine's the street test. You walk up on any street and ask someone, who is Hulk Hogan to you? They're going to say red and yellow Hulkamania, brother. It's exactly what
we've already confirmed. It's not D, right? People look past that too easily.
Yep.
C is interesting. C was the option. It doesn't work for me, brother. I just think that one is too short term, right? Like that doesn't work for me, brother. That's something that came in the last 10 years, right?
Right.
Like it's always been there, but the stories have come out in the past 10 years. I think that joke will always be there, but I don't think that's going to define Hogan's career.
Right.
So I think it really only comes down to A and B.
And honestly, he comes from a time where if you weren't trying to rule the roost in the locker room and have your power in your booking, everybody was trying to do it back then. He was just the guy who could do it.
Sure.
It's kind of crazy though, if you think about how wrestlers going from promotion to promotion changes. When Hogan came back to WWE initially and they had that NWO story and he just got cheered, like you knew that they couldn't keep him in the NWO. You knew Hogan versus The Rock, the reactions they got.
That's almost proof right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you didn't know.
Yeah, that's a good call, Tom.
I don't know if their plan was for the NWO to disband as fast as it did, or did they have to give in to the fans that quickly? But it's the same thing with Cody coming from AEW. That guy couldn't get over in AEW. He comes back to WWE and he's a freaking god and people are worshiping him. I love, it's just amazing how the fan bases are different for each promotion like that.
He was getting NWO wasn't getting booed like in WCW. They were a pseudo anti-hero babyface group. I mean, that was like people were loving them. Like honestly, in the beginning they got hated, but I think Vince just didn't want NWO. I think he wanted to kill it, honestly.
I think you're probably right about that. Vince wanted to kill anything that was related to WCW.
All right. Anybody have any final thoughts before we wrap up, brother?
Fun show.
It was a good show.
Definitely.
That's not going to work for me, brother.
All right, man. Mark, it's been a lot of fun having you on. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Ref Mark Bitters. On Twitter it'll have all my other socials, my Facebooks. I don't do Instagram. I don't do TikTok. I don't do any of that stuff. Just follow me on Twitter and Facebook. On there it'll also have some of my indie dates. If you're don't go to indie shows for the referees, but I definitely do some entertaining shows at the end of this month on May 28th. Is that a Sunday? Yeah, May 28th is FWF Live in New York. There's still tickets available for that show. That is Matt Cardona and Brian Myers Independent League. Amazing independent promotion. They do some really, really fun stuff. And this is going to be a very intimate crowd. You can go to majorpodmerch.com, I believe, for tickets. That's probably not right, but start there, see what you can do. Otherwise, message me on Twitter and I'll get you the actual link. And that airs June 6th on the Premier Streaming Network. Also airing on A&E this weekend. On Sunday is WWE's Hidden Treasures. You can see me, and I think I can say that Lita's there. And there's another guest that comes to the house, and I don't think I can say who that is yet. But the show is a blast. You gotta check that out to see how the transaction between me, the WWE, goes over that giant yellow cowboy hat. Otherwise, keep listening to this show. I love this show, guys. I love that you guys have been doing this for 131 weeks, and you guys have bing crushing it I just love, I think I've talked about this before. I love wrestling podcasts that aren't just review shows. I love wrestling podcasts that put their own spin on it and put their own opinions into it. And you guys do a fantastic job of that. So please keep doing this.
We appreciate that, Mark. Guys, watch Hidden Treasures. If you can't watch it, set that DVR, baby. Catch the rerun.
Such a great show.
MJF will be at that FWF show, making a rare indie appearance, guys.
Ooh.
So area,
Is that true?
Check out. Yes, it is.
I didn't even know that. Okay.
Or is that Cap show?
That's Cap. Yeah, that's Cap.
Oh,
That's a Cap show.
Yeah.
Let's wrap him up. Tom's drunk. All right.
He's
Here we
asleep
go.
over there.
All right, guys. That is going to wrap us up for this edition of the Turnbuckle Debate. Make sure you guys are going to theturnbuckletavern.com for all of your tavern needs. Tom, you're drunk, man, but get your shit in.
OG Fake Hit on Twitter and Instagram. Fake Night every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Me and Mike Bellcaster. Check it out.
All right. Court is dismissed.